You don't have to. No, you don't have to say those words again. Oh no. And you don't have to. No, you don't have to go and explain yourself, 'cause I ain't gonna listen. Yeah, all you wanted was a souvenir to remember it all. Yeah, you tore it apart down to every last piece. Yeah, a souvenir, another story to tell. And I gotta know how to find happiness in the wrong places. It never ends, it's there in all ways. It's evident you never changed for our sake. Maybe I can't just say we're falling now. Your little black book ran out of pages. If you're gonna take it all, then baby, don't waste it. You only want it if you know you're gonna break it. Just another souvenir for the take, yeah. Just take it. Baby, just take it. No, you don't have to say those words again. Oh no. And you don't have to. No, you don't have to go and explain yourself, 'cause I ain't gonna listen. Yeah, all you wanted was a souvenir to remember the fall. To go and tell your friends you were there for it all. A souvenir, just a little postcard for the road. And I just gotta know how to find happiness in the wrong places. It never ends, it's there in all ways. It's evident you never changed for our sake. Maybe I can't just say we're falling now. Your little black book ran out of pages. 'Cause if you're gonna take it all, then baby, don't waste it. You only want it if you know you're gonna break it. Just another souvenir for the take, yeah. Just take it. Baby, just take it. Just another souvenir for the road. That's the way it goes. Just take it. Baby, just take it.
Night number 4 of the WINSTEL 400 Speed Weeks. You've been here for the shootout. You were here for qualifying. You were here for the heat race last night. We appreciate you taking time away from the NFL games tonight to tune in and watch heat race number 2. I'm joined with Emily Howe beside me and making everything look pretty on the broadcast. It's Zach Johnson. How you were in the booth last night. We saw we had an early caution on the back straightaway entering turn 3. Fuel, or not, maybe not fuel, but, at least maintaining the temperature in the engine kind of came into play when one guy blew a motor yesterday. But we really didn't see a whole lot of race. It only 18 cars taking the green flag in this heat. Do you think we're going to see any more action than we did last night, or you think we're going to see about the same thing of people mainly just ride in once they get inside the top 7?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're in the top 5, top 6, top 7, you really don't want to risk, going to the back or wrecking your race car for no real reason. You're in the show, you don't have to worry about, and there's nothing really on the line at that point. Guys 12th on back, that bubble area, they're gonna have to race very hard. We saw last night Logan Kress had some bad luck. He had some damage, lost the draft at first, then was able to pit, pull some strategy, and then catch back up to the field and then lock his way in. A lot of different ways to do it, but that bubble position is going to be hardly fought for tonight.
Yeah, top 12 racing their way into tomorrow's WINSTEL 400 with a purse of over $1,200 in that event. This is I would say a more of a stacked heat compared to last night. We have 8 WINSTEL regulars. The WINSTEL, obviously, the series, the league that most of us are a part of, hosting this event and everything. So at least 8 guys in here that at least understand how this new draft model is working. They've been here practicing with the setup. I think this is going to be more intense. I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background, but I think this is certainly going to be at least a more intense battle for the transfer spot. I think we're going to see the WINSTEL guys go on the high line, maybe pretty much just work together and have 8 guys in line and really making about 4 positions worth of actual guys trying to get in.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be with 8 WINSTEL drivers, they're going to be working together. They're going to be heading towards the front. It's going to make it to where the rest of the field's going to have to really team up and use teamwork to overthrow those guys if they want to try to make it into the top 12.
Yeah, we have extended the caution by at least 1 lap, so we're technically on 2 to green right now. Connor Horn is going to be leading the field with Dylan Roberts on the outside. The WINSTEL regulars that we were just talking about, Dylan Roberts, Sean, Tyler Head, Alex Bates. You could count Andrew Ferreira's in there. You can count Aaron Smith in there, Jose Salas Jr., Hayden starting in the 89 car. So those are the main guys that I expect we're going to see working together. I think Cosman in the 84 car is going to put on a good show. We saw him be extremely aggressive last year in his heat race. Same thing can be said about Connor Horn, the pole sitter in this, in the 67. A lot of guys in here that are going to be, actually being competitive. And I honestly believe we have the WINSTEL 400 winner in this heat race.
Definitely. I mean, the WINSTEL guys are always in contention, as well as... there are some very big names. Michael Frisch is a very good plate racer. Cosman is a very good plate racer. This is a studded field, and it's going to take a lot to get your way in out of this heat. This might be the most stacked heat that we see during Speed Weeks.
Yeah, as I said, we got the 1 to go signal from the flag stand this time. So, a bit of a pre-race segment here, at least for the broadcast, kind of catching everybody up. Obviously, we locked in 12 cars last night, top 12 transferring into the race tomorrow, as I kind of just said here. I don't believe we run into an issue, at least for the first 7 laps. I think a lot of the guys watched the heat race yesterday, saw how sensitive these bumpers are, how sensitive these cars are, especially when you start actually pushing. It's almost kind of like the ARCA car with the new damage model. When you get on somebody's bumper on these super speedways, it just upsets the car, gets them squirrely. I don't think we're going to really see that, at least this early in this heat race compared to last night.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, this field has a lot more experience with these cars. They're a lot more comfortable. They kind of know how to make moves, where to put the car to where they don't upset the car ahead of them. So I expect to see a pretty tame race, but again, a lot of strategy involved. These guys don't have enough fuel to make it to the end. They got about 25 laps in the tank. They will have to make 1 green flag stop if this thing goes all the way. So pit road execution, a very important factor. Last night we saw Logan Kress execute well on pit road to be able to go and catch the field after having damage. We saw some guys losing on pit road. We saw Ondeletto losing on pit road on the first pit stop, but was saved by a caution.
Yeah, and as we have the field coming in turns 3 and 4 right now, I want to point out that the outside lane, Dylan Roberts, Tyler Head, and Alex Bates, I would honestly expect the 17 car to hop up in the outside lane, maybe on the back straightaway on this event. As I said, those WINSTEL guys, I expect them to be working together as the pace car is going to duck its way down the pit road, and the field is going to make its way to the green flag in heat race number 2 of the weekend. Connor Horn hits the loud pedal, and we're seeing already, kind of like I said, Alex Bates, I think, left a little space open for Sean. I think Cosman's going to end up popping in there, but we see this field barreling in turns 1 and 2.
As we head through turns 1 and 2, it looks like the inside lines in prevail with Connor Horn leading the charge and Tyler Head and Dylan Roberts leading the outside charge as they get the run off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway for the first time.
Yeah, heading down the back straightaway. Right now, it's just Tyler Head and Roberts on the outside lane. You see the field obviously given more space than we did see last night. This is where the first incident happened as they enter turns 3. So we've made it a bit farther than the heat race last night. We see the third car on the outside lane, Alex Bates in the 8, and we see Zach in the 18 car. These guys are kind of catching that field. We typically see a lot of the guys gain positions or gain speed, especially out of these corners when they hit those bumps. And so I think that's where we're going to see a lot of at least checking up, stacking up, as we kind of see the top 12 cars really under a blanket right now.
Yeah, currently we got the top 12 under a blanket. Only about one car has cleared that outside line. As we see Sean kind of pull up ahead of Dylan in the outside line. It'll be interesting to see whether he decides to pop up and go around Connor, if he decides to stay in line. It looks like he's going to try to make a move and thinks better of it ahead in turn number 3.
Yeah, Tyler Head pushing right on the back end of Dylan Roberts as they enter that corner. It's leaving Sean at a, not really a disadvantage, but Sean is the guy right now that can control his own destiny. Does he just want to ride in line on the second car in the inside lane, or does he want to hop up in there with those guys, as they said? As the outside lane getting a bit squirrely, Jeremy Davis kind of had to let up. That caused the 11 car of Emmanuel Lopez to lift off the gas, and that checked up the outside lane, with Jose Salas Jr. kind of being the last car on that lane.
To head through turns number 1 and 2, we see the inside line again pull a little bit ahead of Sean, but the outside line should get another big run off of turn 2 here, with Tyler Head shoving Dylan Roberts off the corner.
Oh, as he's shoving him, you see Dylan Roberts got sideways down that back straightaway. Sean looking up, looking down. He's throwing it back to the inside lane. I think, as I said, I think he thought about going up there to help Dylan Roberts out, but decided to go against it as he saw that lane kind of getting squirrely. Nothing really going on in the back of the pack right now. Basically, everybody's running to where they started. You kind of see Aaron Smith in the 70 car and Jose Salas Jr. As the yellow car and that orange car on your screen, they're kind of just giving room right now, not really wanting to be on anybody's back end in case the field gets squirrely, as we do see Sean making a move on the inside, taking that lead. He used that apron entering turn 1, and the 17 car is going to lead the field in turn 2.
Yeah, one thing we haven't talked about yet is there is, again, no yellow line rule here, so that apron is legal. You can use it to your advantage to make big moves. We saw a bunch of guys using that last night to make big moves to the transfer spot. And right now, we see Sean use it to go to the lead here in lap number 4.
Sean wanted to be that control car. I think that's why we didn't see him hop up in there. I thought for sure he'd want to take the lead on the outside, but he's decided against it. He's back to lead. We saw him be really aggressive. Sean ended up actually winning one of the heat races last year, and so he's right back to the position he wants to be in this heat race.
As we look to the field, we see the transfer positions currently being held down by Aaron Smith and Emmanuel Lopez right now, as they battle back and forth through 12th side by side. That's going to be a very interesting position, and if these lines do stay side by side, it's going to be very hard to kind of hold the transfer spot. It's going to be really dependent on the people ahead of you having a run to really seal your deal as you come to these final few laps.
Yeah, we've talked about how difficult it is to push these cars. We also didn't really talk about how some connections that some guys run, whether it's their internet, whether it's their computer, whatever the case may be, some guys can push people better than others. As we saw earlier in this race on the outside, as the inside lane starts checking up, as we're talking about this, Tyler Head was able to push and get right behind Dylan Roberts in that 31, whereas I think Roberts is having trouble pushing that 67 of Connor Horn. We haven't really seen them hook up, and anytime Roberts gets right on the back of Connor Horn, we just see Connor gets squirrely. So I don't think we're going to be able to see that outside lane really push unless we get guys, or at least a different group of guys on that outside lane.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, Connor Horn has run plenty of WINSTEL races, but hasn't been a WINSTEL regular in the past few seasons, and really doesn't have the experience with this package here at Daytona. So Dylan and Tyler have that confidence together where they can push and be confident in one another, but Connor and Dylan really don't know what they can expect from each other, and so they're probably a little bit timid up there on the outside line.
Yeah, the outside line's still here. Basically, 5-6 cars still on the outside lane. The 3 main ones that have stayed up there, Alex Bates, Tyler Head, and Dylan Roberts. As we look on the inside lane, as we kind of had a checkup there, Aaron Smith, Jose Salas Jr., I mentioned 7 laps ago, they were basically just hanging in the back. As we enter, basically a quarter of the way through, they really haven't gained any positions. This is a very difficult setup and a difficult place to get passes, especially with the field double file like they are right now, as we had Jerry B. Davis kind of make an evasive maneuver so he didn't get into Michael in the 58 car down that back straightaway, but positions are going to be hard to come by. So unless we can see Aaron Smith and Jose Salas Jr. work, as we do see Jose jump to the outside lane, so as I'm saying this, he's making positions, but we're at a bit of a stalemate right now. Even with the top 12 cars being locked in, that transfer spot is where Aaron Smith is right now, where that 11 car is, where that 75 car is, and so these guys are still racing for something as well.
One thing we'll see on screen here is Hayden Rapass has lost the draft here. He's about 6 seconds off that lead pack, and if he doesn't get a yellow flag here, his race is going to be over. I don't think there's any strategy he could really pull. As we see Connor Horn on the outside line with Dylan Roberts pushing him, has taken over the lead from Sean. It'll be interesting to see here if he decides to stay up here and ride the outside lane, and as we see 2 into 3 cars start clearing it, or as they go into turn 3, there they go. They take the bottom.
Yeah, they take that bottom lane. The inside basically had to at least let off. That accordion effect was felt all the way back to Andrew Ferreras in the 88 and Jeremy Stanley in the 44 car. I mean, these checkups, I feel like they're even bigger with this new updated draft package that iRacing put out on Thursday or on Wednesday. Anytime you let off, that line is basically killed for at least half a lap.
Yeah, the checkups aren't necessarily larger, but it's just it takes a lot longer to build momentum. So checking up is a lot more detrimental. Previously, if you checked up, you could get right back on it and then be back up to speed within about 4 to 5 seconds. But now it's a lot more methodical, and you have to really think about how you're going to get your runs and where you're going to take your runs. And it means if you do have a big run, you're going to have to, fight for it and take it forward. You can't just, let things go to waste. So it creates a lot of intensity throughout the field when you're trying to make moves.
Yeah, talking about things going to waste, that outside lane is wasting away right now as the inside lane has at least a 6-car advantage on Tyler Head in that outside lane. It seemed like a lot of guys just duck their way down the inside. Maybe they're getting ready to at least just ride possibly to the, not the end of the stage, but to the what is it? The pits, entering the pits around lap 20, lap 25. We saw them double file for around 8 laps, but everybody's just slowly migrated down to the bottom. As I say that, the field kind of zigzags down that back straightaway as we're running up the middle lane right now. But everybody's single file all the way back to the 7th place right now. That's the first bit of competition we have between Tyler Head and the 44.
Yeah, I mean, what we may see here is if we do have Dylan Roberts and Sean Peleg up front, kind of controlling this draft here, they may try to convince him to go further up and try to give a draft to Tyler Head and Alex Bates back there to help pull their WINSTEL teammates back up towards the front here to get them out of danger of transfer spot. As Alex Bates is now 10th, fighting with Aaron Smith for 11th, they're getting close to being in that transfer bubble. So as we see Tyler Head duck down, this might put Alex Bates outside of transfer position as he tries to find a hole in line here on the bottom.
Yeah, you could just see how this draft kills you when you're side by side. You can see right now that the 4-car of Tyler Head is pulling a 1.5, about 2-car length lead right now on the first double file cars in this, which is Aaron Smith and Alex Bates. And right when I say that, the inside lane checks up again. We're seeing Cosman try and make some moves, try and get something happen, breaking the draft, or just trying to make some momentum happen. As he's doing that, we're just seeing that lane check up. I think it's more so not frustrating, but the idea of riding in line is so not tedious, but you're here to race. This is a racetrack, not a pace track. You want to be doing something, and it feels weird to just be riding in line. As I say that, we got some side-by-side racing action. Not entirely sure why Andrew decided to leave the inside lane. Like I said, maybe he was just getting bored there. As we see the 58 car of Michael pushing him, we have Tyler Head right behind, and they're trying to make some moves. Andrew's just going to throw it back to the inside lane. Michael's going to follow him, and so now we're back to a single file again.
A lot of these guys, it is counterintuitive just to ride in line. You think win when you get on the racetrack, but really a win here tonight is just being inside that top 12. So as long as you're in there, you've won your heat essentially. But a lot of guys, if you're 6th, 7th on back, those checkups can feel pretty dangerous. You don't know if you're going to hit the guy ahead of you or the guy behind you is going to be able to check up and not hit you with those mass explorers. It's hard to see ahead of you more than one car. So if you want to hop out to the outside line and risk that position to try to move forward and get better track position for both pit stops and for safety, that may be what we're seeing up here as we see it looks like Michael Frisch and Cosman have been very effectively pushing to the front.
Yeah, they're trying to get something going on there as the field exits turn 4 this time by. We'll be entering lap 14. I want to talk about a guy who has fallen out of the transfer spot right now, and that was Alex Bates. Tyler Head is 1 car away from that at the moment. Jose Salas Jr. and Aaron Smith have worked their way inside the top 9 right now. And so right now it seems like if you rode that outside lane for the first 4, 5, 6 laps, you're actually being punished right now because everybody just left you. As we're side by side again, Andrew on the outside in the 88 car, Stanley on the 44. Now Andrew is just trying to maybe not side draft, but just slow that inside lane down and try and work his way back down there.
Yeah, I mean, we see them off the outside line where they'll, try to push forward, and then once they clear the bottom, they try to go down there and ride. So Sean and Dylan were able to clear that outside line, and then they pulled down. And in doing so, they left Tyler and Bates kind of out to dry, and that kind of has really cost them as they are now in danger of losing this transfer position.
Yeah, as Michael in the 58 drops all the way back to the 11th position. Alex Bates is the last car in the transfer spot. And right now, it's the top 12 lined nose to tail on the inside lane here. So right now, the transfer spot is in that silver car, that 8 car. It is all in Alex Bates' hands right now. So outside of guys pitting for fuel, I would imagine the only competition or the only pass we're going to see right now might come out of that 59 car. Blaine just trying to work his way into 12th before the pit stops happen. I do want to mention before we get there, we saw guys have pit road entries or issues yesterday. I don't think we're going to see as many this time around, but if everybody decides to pit at the same time in this one lane, we're going to see huge checkups entering that pit road.
Definitely. I mean, this pit road is way harder to access than it is at Talladega or at New Daytona with the bumps. So there's really only about 1 or 2 viable lines and braking points to actually get the pit road here. There's also the inside pit cone that you have to be between that has caught out a bunch of people in the past. It's cost people WINSTEL 400s over the years. So it'll be very interesting to check on our pit penalties and see who is able to execute properly on pit road to lock their way, or at least ensure that they have a chance to fight for it at the end of this race.
Yeah, car is still single file. It is all Connor Horn, the guy who started on first, worked his way back up there. Actually, your top 3 starters are all in those same positions. Connor Horn, your leader, Dylan Roberts in second, Sean in third place. The only place that we see a different guy from where he started is Cosman in that 84. Right now, other than Aaron Smith and Jose Salas Jr., your biggest movers in this race, everybody else is riding pretty much where they started.
Yep, we've seen some movers forward, some movers backwards. So far we've got all but 2 cars have kept this lead draft, and they're all still kind of biding their time here until we get to the end, probably. We are within the pit window now. We could see guys decide to pit early and try to, if there were to be a caution, get track position for, that yellow. Make sure they pit first and don't have to be trapped in the yellow. But we have about 7 laps left in this window. They can make it to about lap 25, but anytime between now and the next 7 laps, we should be seeing these guys all head to pit road.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened at the very top of your screen as they left turn 4. Not sure if Alex Bates ran into an issue, hit the bump, or Blaine or Emmanuel Lopez, but we did see a pretty big checkup at the back of the pack right now. And so now it's really just your top 12 cars. You got about a 4-car length, at least a 5-car length lead between 12th position and the 13th position. So if it stays green right now, that may have just locked in your top 12 drivers if they don't run into any issues on this pit entry.
Yeah, but also Suzuki go that back straight away. 13th through 16th, they're all now starting to catch right back up again to the back bumper of Alex Bates as they head through 3 and 4.
Yeah, man, we're seeing pretty big checkups right now out of turn 4. We're not really seeing them out of turn 2. I'm not sure if it's guys kind of getting ready for somebody to jump down to the inside to go to pit lane or what, but it seems like these checkups are getting bigger and bigger as we're seeing at least a car length gap between your 8th position as Tyler Head closes that. As I'm talking about it right now, you see Andrew Ferranares closing it. Like, these checkups are getting bigger and bigger out of turn 4.
There is a big bump on the outside of inside of turn number 4, right at the exit that will really upset these cars. They're trying to hold the bottom, keep their track position. Trying to hold the car down there can get the car upset, and it can cause you to check up and stack the whole lineup if you're not careful.
Just interesting, though. And I mean, pay attention right here. You just mentioned it, right? You see the entire field hit it right there. Didn't have that big of an impact as we saw the last 2 laps. I'm just not really sure what's causing those checkups as we see Andrew deciding to go to the outside lane, trying to get by Tyler Head. He'll probably just end up hopping back to the inside line, but Andrew Ferranares is trying to get something to happen. He's just like, hey, I'm running 10th. Let me at least try and do something. I'm not going to fall back to 11th. Got a big enough gap. Let me at least try and do something on this outside lane. I don't just want to sit there. I want to put on a show for these fans.
Yeah, what we're going to need to see is we need to see probably Aaron Smith, Jose Salas Jr., Tyler Head all get organized together and all start talking to each other and make it an organized decision to go to the outside. 2 cars going to the outside and then trying to organize from there you start to get jumbled up, and it's hard to get the momentum up. You need to have an entire line of people dedicated to it to be able to go out there and really make good, solid ground.
Yeah, as we turn over to lap number 21 here at Daytona, Sean got a bit loose on that tri-oval, brought it back up, but that's the most exciting thing we've seen for at least the last 7 laps. Everybody just riding in line. We're seeing a bit of a checkup again, but that's just par for the course here.
Yeah, I mean, probably Sean was trying to get some air there. I don't think he's trying to really rattle Dylan's cage at all. You know, they've worked together for a long year, and you know, I really don't think that they have any reason to be racing together. I think Sean probably was just getting a little bit hot in the temps and wanted to either check and see behind Dylan's split or just get a little bit of fresh air to the grill there as they head into turn number 1. Again, to go through 3 and 4 here, watch about there as they hit these bumps. You know, we do see cars leave the bottom a little bit as they go through 3 and 4 there. And again, we are within pit window, so we should be seeing these cars at pit road any lap now.
Yeah, I'm going to give them probably at least 2 more laps. I just think that's when everybody's going to probably jump down there around lap 23, 24. They might try and empty this tank and maybe take a little less than a fuel tank on this pit stop. As we do see, these guys are kind of getting squirrely. Like, I'm not really sure what's causing that. I can't tell if it's these checkups. I can't tell if it's, hey, are you going to pit, and do I need to give you room as we enter turns 3 and 4? We're seeing way more excitement than I thought we would be at this point of the race with these guys just single file.
Yep, we see Jeremy Davis be the first driver to really make an effective use of the yellow line to go and try to get his way up to 13th now, as Alex Bates is now in his sights, and he's going to be sweating bullets in his Miller Lite Ford there. As Jeremy Davis, again, a very aggressive plate racer, very good plate racer, he's going to be trying to get his way up further to the front. He doesn't want to ride 13th, 12th. He wants to be at the front of the field to feel safe. So we'll see what he does here on the back straight, if he can organize another run, or if Bates tries to block him as, you know, as a defensive driver.
So this right here seems like the point where if I'm not going to pit here, I need to expect guys to be hopping in pit lane. Kind of like you see the green and black car, Jeremy Davis, you know, possibly looked in the outside lane, maybe taking advantage of a checkup that we're going to see here. I think we're seeing, and we are going to see people pitting here. We see the 59 car trying to gain positions on the outside lane as the field ducks its way down to pit road. No, Jose Jr.
I believe Jose might have gotten a penalty. Let's check.
Yeah, did not mean to interrupt you there, but outside of missing the cones, I think he was also speeding. Jose Salas Jr. in that 75 car going to be serving a penalty here as most of the field enters pit road. We do have a little bit of contact between Michael in the 58 and another car. It looks like everybody's just, and your leader, Connor Horn, having to back up in his pit stall. Disaster pit stall for quite a few drivers here. This might decide who transfers in.
Looks like Connor Horn also decided to take tires there, which is going to really cost him here. He's going to be very, very far behind that lead pack. I don't know if Jose was forced to serve a penalty. It looks like, yes, Jose served a penalty. I believe also Jeremy Davis was speeding on pit road and is also serving a penalty. So that's going to take out 2 drivers from this equation that were in very good positions.
Yeah, Cosman nearly got sideways, almost involved Andrew Ferraneras as the second group of cars, 3 cars that is, pitted that time. Jose Salas Jr. still serving a penalty. Jeremy Davis also in pit lane. So those guys who were in the top 12 knocking themselves out, as we have a little bit of a breakaway right now between the 31 and the 17 car. About 4 car lengths back is Zach in the 18, Jeremy Stanley in the 44. Tyler Head is about 6 car lengths back from that. I'm sure Alex Bates and Aaron Smith will be caught up to Tyler Head in a few laps, but this is your pack right now. We're going to wait for everybody to cycle by before we see who is exactly in 12th position right now. But a lot of drama right now as pit stops are ending.
Yeah, back on pit road again. Cosman did catch a penalty there for speeding on the pit road. He's going to have to serve, I believe, a 40-second penalty. That's going to take him again out of this equation. Jeremy V. Davis, Jose Salas Jr. also serving penalties. Ryan Naraki and Hayden had lost the draft, and they're now together after their pit stops. So this is going to take several cars out of the equation, as we see Connor Horton and Michael Frisch, the last 2 cars in this lead draft, are going to be the last 2 transfer positions, or I should say the cutoff positions.
Yeah, right now your 12th place is being held by Emmanuel Lopez in that number 11 car, but How do you think we go green to the end here? Because I really do think there is a good chance of that. And Connor Horn, the guy who started first, currently in 12th right now, just there's a chance that he loses this draft between those 3 cars that are in front of him, but there's at least 10, 15 car lengths back between the 59 car and him. So even if Connor Horn loses the draft right here, he's still going to hold on that 12th place position. And outside of a wreck happening, I think this is going to be the way this race ends.
I believe so. I mean, as we said, pit stop execution is going to be very important. We saw Connor went from leading that train on the way in to missing his box and taking tires with an alternate strategy. And now, luckily, he did not lose the draft here, but he was very close to losing the draft and losing that transfer position. But I do think you're right. We are going to see this probably the way this plays out. The 13th place car of Blaine Sparling has lost this draft, and he's going to be falling back rapidly as his laps progress.
Yeah, as we've been talking about the not the back markers, but the cars in 11th position in transfer spots. The leaders right now are High, Wide, and Handsome, as they have been using that outside lane for the last 3 laps. Sean running the outside lane in that 17 car, followed by Zach, Jeremy, Dylan, Tyler, and Alex. These guys are just running the outside lane as they're coming up on the slower car of Cosman after he had issues on pit road in that 84 car. But right now it's just the leaders around the outside lane.
Yeah, I mean, before we saw the preferred groove be the bottom line, but now, they've moved up, decided that, Sean wants to run the high line. I feels more comfortable up there, can use more momentum. So being a Pied Piper here at Daytona, he's able to drag that line up there with him, and no one's really going to complain. They have no real reason. The race is very hard. As they head around the lap car of Cosman on the bottom.
Yeah, quick update on your 12th, on the gap between 12th and 13th. Last time, or the lap before, it was around 2.5. Now it's looking right at about 3 seconds. So right now, Connor Horn is, like I said, Connor Horn is going to be your last transfer spot. And unless these leaders wreck, that'll be it. So let's kind of walk through the field. The guy that has moved up the highest, at least in this lead pack right now, is Jeremy Stanley at 44. He started 11th, worked his way up to 3rd through that pit road entry. Jeremy was actually pretty aggressive. I'm surprised he wasn't speeding as he entered through there. He gained at least 3 positions as everybody was entering, and I think Jose Salas Jr. Missing the cones, slowing up the inside lane, allowed Jeremy to work his way up to 3rd here. So congratulations, Jeremy, on making a ton of positions on that pit entry. Fariner is trying to use the inside lane, gaining some positions on Aaron Smith, and trying to make something happen on Alex Bates, but Alex shuts the door on him as Alex gets bumped in 3 and 4, got a bit sideways. Andrew let off the gas there, but right now they're just back to right in single file.
Yeah, very surprised to see them get that aggressive here. There's no real reason for them to be racing very much. As we see, Andrew again goes to the outside of Alex Bates here in the turn number 1, trying to make some moves happen. Again, these guys are all safe, so I understand the racer's urge to race hard, but you don't want to cause a crash and make yourself out of contention here. We've got a little under, we're coming to 10 to go this time by. You can just ride, 5 more minutes, and you're locked into the race. There's no real reason to push the issue too hard.
Yeah, as we're inside, 10 to go, just 7 more minutes, and then you're locked into the WINSTEL 400. About the only excitement we might have is when the leaders catch Jeremy B. Davis and Jose Salas Jr. They are currently entering turns 1 and 2 right now. Your leader, Sean, is now entering turns 1 and 2, so we might see them catch these guys at least with maybe 4 or 5 to go. Maybe Jose and Jeremy trying to at least be a bit rude to the leaders, maybe hoping that they cause an accordion effect to try and get another shot at this transfer spot. But right now, that's where it is. Andrew's still trying to make something happen on the outside lane as Cosman is pushing him in that 84 car. But that's really the racing deal right now.
Yeah, I doubt we'll see Jeremy and Jose do anything too sinister towards the bottom line. And I don't think that the lead pack will fall for trying to race too hard to get around 2 lap cars. But, they, at this point now, they are indeed praying for caution. They're out of contention. They need a yellow and a possible green-white checkered, as we saw last night, to give themselves a shot at this win. But as it looks right now, there really isn't going to be a shot to. This lead pack is entirely safe, and then the pack that contains the transfer position is also entirely safe. So I don't really think that we'll see a yellow here between now and the end. But we can always be proven wrong.
Yeah, as we see that pack kind of serpentine down this back straightaway, Alex Bates in the 6th position is the last car in line of the leaders right now. We had Andrew kind of fall back, same thing with Cosman and Aaron Smith, and so, well, as I say that, Andrew worked his way back up there, but right now it's just working with the snake of about 6-7 cars as the field is gaining Jose Salas Jr. and Jeremy B. Davis a little bit quicker than I thought they would. Look, you do not want to run your LCQ. I think we're going to see something from these 2 lap cars, at least trying to get the leaders side by side, hoping for something. Like, you need to throw a miracle out there. We're looking at possibly only 3 cars transferring from the LCQ. You want a chance here. You know, you made a mistake on pit road. You got 7 laps to go. I mean, you're a bit desperate. You know, I got to at least play devil's advocate here.
It looks like they're going to hold the bottom here, and Sean's probably going to take around the outside of them. So, I mean, they can try anything they want, but there really isn't going to be a shot, because if they do cause a wreck, they will be penalized for it. So they can't just throw a freebie yellow for themselves. So I really doubt we're going to see them try to do anything too crazy here in the final 10 laps.
I don't know. We're going to have to see right now. Sean is about 3 car lengths behind the lap car of Jose Salas Jr. and Jeremy B. Davis. He has the 18 right behind them. Sean is just right now looking to stay on that inside lane. If he does get a run in a turn 2, that's going to be his only chance of really passing. Otherwise, he might just ride in line as they enter the back straightaway. Sean just going to be staying behind that 75 car.
It looks like Sean's going to choose to stay in right in line behind Jose Salas and Jeremy B. Davis here, and there's no real reason for him to really push too hard to get around them.
You know, you say that, but I think they are trying to hold this lead pack up as we see the outside lane starting to form. It's Andrew in that 88 car, followed by Cosman in the 84. They're gaining ground in the outside lane. If you're the leaders right now, do you stay on that inside lane? Do you just ride? What do you do? But we see that 88 gaining positions. Huge checkup on the inside lane. 31 car of Dylan Roberts had to check up. Tyler Head had a checkup. Here comes the 88 car, passing Sean on the outside for the lead with under 5 to go.
Well, I didn't think this would cause an issue, but you were right, Cruz. This has checked up the inside lane pretty tremendously, and the outside lane has really organized themselves together with just 2 cars to be able to blow by both or get side by side with Jimmy Davis and Jose Salas Jr.
You know, I got to hand it to him. I think that's what you have to do in the situation. I'm sure if you're Sean, you're frustrated as heck right now. But being those lap cars, you got to do that. They completely fair, just trying to slow that pack up, hoping something happens. But Andrew, you're outside of the 17 of Sean. Andrew has been the most aggressive car in this race, and now he takes the lead. And I stand corrected. Last time I said 5 to go. This time it's 5 to go.
And again, it looks like the either Jimmy B. Davis and Jose have been able to put the hammer down a little bit harder, or the inside lane has gotten reorganized. And it looks like Andrew and Stanley up there on the top side are struggling to keep their position there. As we see Sean aggressively getting to the back of Jose Salas Jr. there. It looks like he is starting to get frustrated with these guys ahead of him. So the mind games are working out. You know, it would be a shame if we did see Sean or any of these lead drivers get in an accident, but as that red mist kind of sets in, it becomes very easy to kind of lose sight of what the big picture is and start racing these lap cars as you get frustrated.
Well, man, you're gripping those. You're gripping the wheel. You're here at Daytona. You got 4 to go right now. Like, if you're Sean, you've been leading pretty much the whole race outside of Connor Horn. You want to win this. Andrew being aggressive, he wants to win this. These cars are getting squirrely as you see Jeremy in that 44 kind of wiggling on the inside lane in turns 1 and 2 there as they head down this back straightaway. It's Sean. Does Sean stay there? Does he just get fed up the next time the 88 has a run? I think next time Andrew has a run, we're going to see Sean hop that outside lane.
I don't know if we'll see Sean trying to make a move, but Zach Alman in second, well, 4th on the track and second in this, 4th in this line and second in position. When Andrew gets that run on him, he's probably going to try to take it, as much as it doesn't really matter to win this race, you still want to have a win under your belt. So it's going to be a very interesting last couple of laps to see these lap cars going to control the field here.
Yeah, and we're seeing drivers like the 31, drivers like the 4, drivers like the 8 of Alex Bates, Tyler Head, and Dylan Roberts saying, "Hey, if you guys want to wreck, be my guest. I'm gonna back up a little bit and give you guys some room." As I'm just gonna focus on the win right here. The transfer spot has changed a bit. Emmanuel Lopez is in the 12th position right now, but outside of that, nobody's gonna be passing him. Blaine is too far back to really make a move, so we're gonna be entering 2 to go out of turn 4 this time by with Sean leading the field.
Yep, and so you kind of get closer to this white flag lap. you see that inside line really itching to make a move up. Let's see they.
Oh no! Oh no! The lap cars side by side. Sean, what do you do, driver? Find a way through. He's going to push that 75 car past Jeremy B. Davis, but this is the excitement that we've been wanting to see for at least the last 20 laps.
I didn't expect it to get wild at the end, but we just see, time and time again, Daytona always provides us a little bit of magic as we come to these final few laps. The red mist always sets in, and we see more wild blocking than the back straightaway for the lead here as we head towards the white flag.
Sean trying to go back-to-back years with a heat race win, trying to follow Alex taking the poles 2 years in a row. Like I said, Sean trying to go 2 years in a row winning his heats. As the white flag is being displayed to the drivers this time by, we're getting squirrely fourth, second, and third right now. Andrew trying to make something happen. He's pushing Zach. We're seeing the 44 of Jeremy make something happening outside lane. We're going to see some excitement down this back straightaway.
Jose Salas Jr. still leads it on the track as they head into turn number 1. Sean Pellig still in the lead here in the second in line. Zach Amon, Andrew Freenage, they are all trying to win this race. As we see them go below the yellow line here, Jose hopefully should get out of the way here and let these guys race it out for the win as they get squirrely down the back straightaway again with a slight contact. It looks like with Jose being a pickup there on the outside, Sean should be good unless they can mount the charge here coming to the start-finish line.
I can't tell if these drivers are smiling or steaming right now. I have no idea how Sean didn't get turned sideways down the back straightaway. There in the tri-oval. Checkered flag is in the air. Sean is going to go back-to-back years of winning his heat race in a pretty exciting finish. We did not think we were going to see side-by-side racing action there, but those lap cars made it interesting. Your top 12 advancing, that's going to be Emmanuel Lopez, your last transfer spot, but flag to flag, green flag racing for this heat race. Hey, that came down to a pretty good finish there.
Yeah, I mean, we expected them to kind of ride in line there, and I think, we saw the guys 5th, 6th on back, decided, hey, they didn't prescribe the racing here, so they decided to back off and let the front guys race. But very aggressive racing here towards the end with those lap cars, It seems like some guys either got heated or just decided to have some fun, but that was wild for the last few laps. They were putting a lot of risk on those race cars.
Yeah, Sean, I from my vantage point on the back straightaway, I thought for sure the 17 might have been turned as he was going on the inside of Jose Salas Jr. there as Sean starts to burn it down in the infield here at Daytona, winner of heat number 2. But for being single file, for having the top 12 basically locked in, these guys got really aggressive on those last 3 laps.
Yeah, I mean, as we actually talked about, those lap cars kind of were able to hold ground as they got approached by the pack, and Sean didn't want to be too aggressive on them. And when that happened, it kind of gave Jeremy and Jose an opportunity to, as they're entitled to do, try to race it up and try to guarantee themselves a caution to hopefully get back around and have another shot at it. Unfortunately, they've been eliminated, and we'll go back to the LCQ. But very exciting last 5 laps. I didn't expect that, but glad to see it. But they put on a great show tonight.
Yeah, how I didn't mean to interrupt you so many times here, but I thought for sure we'd see, more quote unquote boring racing here. But I lost my mind when we saw Jose Salas Jr. fly into the pit lane there. I lost my mind when the lap cars went side by side with 2 to go. I mean, that was a really, really fun race. As you said last year, what a race. I got to say it again. What a race here as you're seeing your top 10 finishers on your screen right now.
Yep, notable things here. Connor Horn entered pit road in first, but then managed to get the car woed down after a bad stop and hang on to the draft to finish in the top 10 and lock him his way in. Emmanuel Lopez, again, executed well on pit road, finishing 12th, being the last car to lock his way in. Hayden, Ryan, Jose, Cosman, Jeremy, all had bad luck or penalties on pit road. And, as we said at the start, pit road execution on these green flag stops is going to be make or break. They were all safely in. And then pit road mistakes or penalties knocked them out of the contention, and they will now have to fight their way back in the LCQ.
Yeah, what an unfortunate break in a race where there was only 18 cars, basically taking 66% of the field and losing it on pit lane. That has to be heartbreaking.
For sure, but I mean, at the same time, as a driver, it's more so frustrating because it's entirely your fault. there's nothing. You don't kick yourself harder than when you make a mistake like that. If you get caught in a wreck, that isn't your fault. It sucks, but there's nothing you can do about it. But when you speed on pit road or hit the cone, it's just you see for the entire rest of the 20 laps, and it makes it really, really unfun to be out there.
Yeah, man. Like I understand the disappointment, man. Making a mistake on pit road there, just you wish you could take it back. The pit road entry here at Daytona 07 is really unlike any other track on the iRacing service, because not only do you have to deal with that bump at a turn 4, it's almost what's certainly a narrower pit entry with the 2 cones that you're having to be inside, but it also feels like you just have a shorter distance between turn 4 and the pit lane here. I don't know about you, but for me, whenever I enter pit lane here, it just seems like it comes up way faster than you're expecting.
Yeah, this pit road definitely seems like a Bristol. And as we look down here on pit road, it looks like we have Tom Pellig in the interview waiting room waiting to talk to us.
Yeah, as I walk down, Sean, you've gone back-to-back years winning your heat race. You were aggressive from the drop of the green flag. Even when Connor Horn was leading, you were making that inside lane work. You were making the apron work. Specifically, you made some moves entering turn 3 where you were entered on the apron. How does it feel to walk away with a win? And certainly when it got as crazy as that with the 2 lap cars basically blocking the track there, coming to 2 to go.
Oh, it was great. It was a great race. Had a lot of fun out there. Some people call me aggressive. I don't know. I'm just opportunistic. When I see something available in front of me, I take it. So I had my chances. I took them, and once I was in the front, it's just all about keeping everyone behind you. The lap cars were interesting. I actually planned to keep them in front of me because I didn't want to lap Jose, but then there was some slow car in the bunch, so kind of made things interesting there at the end.
Yeah, slow cars up high and down low. Maybe I not necessarily jinxed you, but I was telling Hal during this, I was like, man, if I'm a lap car, I'm going to do whatever I can to make this interesting for these leaders, maybe hoping for a wreck quite a few cars down the lane. When you caught up to Jose, you said you didn't want to pass him, but were you concerned with Andrew getting those runs? Specifically, when he took the lead with 4 to go, were you worried that he might end up being trapped on the inside lane?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even realize that Andrew was trying to start things at the back of the group. And I planned, because I didn't want to trap Jose a lap down. If we got a caution, I wanted to give him the best chance to get back in the top 12. But as soon as I think it was Jeremy B. Davis was holding up the whole bottom line, and I saw Andrew fly to the front, I'm looking at the lap count, 5 laps to go. I'm in second. I don't like that. And I was just hoping that it would work out smoothly the way it did. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make any more big moves to get back to the front, because I pretty well had it decided from the start that I was winning this race.
At least you can say that. I know at least 18 cars started this race hoping for that exact ending. But Sean, I'm just happy to see you go back-to-back years. I was basically saying you're doing the exact thing that you did last year, being aggressive, blocking moves behind you. I mean, congratulations on your heat race win.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Let's hope we can keep it going tomorrow.
And that is your winner of heat race number 2, Sean, in the 17 car. I can't expect anything more from these heat races other than action towards the end, even when guys are locked in. I mean, these guys are still racing aggressive. They're still racing for the win. Hal, you got anything to say on this conclusion of heat race number 2 as we kind of get ready for heat race number 3 in a few minutes?
No, I mean, just, another race of exciting action here coming for race number 3. We got more cars, more drivers, and more opportunity to see the same action we've seen for the past 2 nights.
Yeah, as we enter the final heat race, which should start in as we enter, at least a 15-minute hold, as we're kind of waiting for everybody to join the next heat race, to join the session, to get in there. I'm excited for this next race.
how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man.
You will find yourself in somewhere. You will find
of the WINSTEL Heat Races. We're going to be bringing you Heat Race number 3 here in a few minutes. You see the drivers are already on track and they're in session practice. We currently have Tyler Head in the interview waiting room trying to talk to him. He finished 7th in the, at least I hope so. Can't remember, my short-term memory is failing me right now, but he did qualify in through the last heat race. Tyler, you saw the leaders get pretty racy at the end. Like, you guys were all locked in. The lap cars are making, the leaders run into a bit of a trouble. What were you thinking there as they started getting 2 and 3 wide?
Get me out of here. I want no part of this. They were being very competitive, and they probably learned a little bit more for tomorrow night's race as far as what they can and can't do with their cars. But with where I was running, my priority was just going ahead and securing a spot in the big show. Thankfully, nobody ahead of us got into each other and spoiled their own chances for Sunday, but certainly decided to take it safe there.
Yeah, I was mentioning to the viewers around 7 laps to go, you and Bates were kind of giving them a lot more room, at least 10, 15 car lengths when they started racing there. What was it like at the start of that race? You and Dylan Roberts and Bates are working together, possibly with Sean hopping the outside lane for a bit. What was it like working with the WINSTEL boys trying to qualify in there?
Yeah, I mean, it was good to have some familiar names and, some people that I really trust to be racing with. You can push with a lot more confidence and, have a lot more trust in the person that's coming up to give you a push when they're people that you've raced with as much as we've raced together. So that was definitely really reassuring. After a little while, things kind of settled down and they pretty quickly boiled down to, all right, let's make sure that we execute our pit stop properly. And when we get off of pit road, we'll see where it shakes out. And obviously, the grand majority of our group did a pretty good job of doing that. And, as we got to the end of the race there, it was just a matter of, do you want to race for the win for fun, or do you take it safe and advance? And it was good to have that option.
Yeah, you mentioned pit road. We actually had 6 guys run into issues during their pit stop. You had Jose Salas Jr., Jeremy B. Davis, Cosman, a couple other guys. Like, did you expect that pit road to be that hairy? Like, the entire field pretty much pitted together. I was expecting guys to at least go a lap before or after, but you had the entire top 14 pretty much pit at the same time. Was that, like, more challenging than you expected it to be?
I figured, barring somebody making a mistake and there being a crash, which that's not one of the elements that you have a lot of control over, pit road was going to be the biggest obstacle in this race, especially if we had our pit stop come under green as we did. And you mentioned people that ran into trouble. I almost overshot my pit stop. I barely got into my stall just because, it could be a little bit hard to find your stall, especially when you're only going down there for one trip. But fortunately, I was able to get myself woed up in time and get in there good enough for them to service the car and get off a pit road with everybody that came in with. But it's not that the pit road sequence is something that is terribly hard to do. It's just that there's a lot of ways that you can gain time, and if you give up that time, you run the risk of losing the draft. So people push it, and sometimes you could push it too far. So that's why when we were setting up for coming into the pits, there was a lot of communication about coming in as a group and trying to stay together both on and coming off, and that made it so that, at least for us, we didn't have to be quite as aggressive, perhaps as some of the guys who pit outside of that group did.
I got you. I'm totally with you. You're running a much more strategic race than some of the other guys. Every move you made was more calculated, just lock yourself into the race. I heard you've been involved with this new Atlanta Motor Speedway. Like, can you tell us about that? When are the dates? When is the NASCAR series heading to that track?
Oh, well, I couldn't possibly tell you about how the Fulton Honda Quick Trip 500 weekend is coming up March 18th to the 20th with the Freight Auctions 208 and the Nally Cars 250 on Saturday the 19th, and the Fulton Honda Quick Trip 500 on Sunday on the all-new Atlanta Motor Speedway, which has been reconfigured for 2022 with now 28 degrees of banking and fresh asphalt. That's going to be a really exciting weekend to see how the racing is there. And then they come back in July, the NASCAR boys do, for the Alsco Uniforms 250 on July 9th on Saturday. And then back for the Cup Series and the Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart on July 10th. So, that's certainly something I'm looking forward to. But I got to be honest, right now, as much as that's always top of mind for me, I'm really looking forward to the 400 miles we're going to run tomorrow night here in the WINSTEL 400.
Hey, perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better. Folks, I did not prep him on that question. That was all him knowing about Atlanta. I wanted to get that out there. Support the track, support what NASCAR is doing over there. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm hoping that I can make something happen in the LCQ to join you guys in the race. If not, I'll be happy to call it. And then hopefully I can call one of the WINSTEL guys coming out turn 4 winning this race.
Well, I think you could be taking a lot of notes tonight from the vantage point that you've got, and maybe have a little bit more knowledge than everybody else that you're racing with in that LCQ. Maybe that'll help you out. We'll certainly be rooting for you. I mean, only 3 spots guaranteed from that one tomorrow evening, so it's going to be a can't miss lead into the feature for sure.
Yeah, I got my notebook. It's pretty long. It's if I'm not in the top 3, when I get lapped, I got to make sure I slow down the leaders, just like this last race. So thank you for joining us, Tyler. I appreciate it, and we're looking forward to watching the race tomorrow.
Thank you very much for having me, and yeah, good luck to you tomorrow, and hope we get one more good show tonight, and then a lot of great racing tomorrow.
And that's Tyler Head, the driver that you saw in the 4-car in this previous heat race, a guy who is basically a founding member. We kind of talked about this, how in the WINSTEL 400 qualifying, but Tyler Head, Alex Bates, Brendan McGee, all these guys are the people who have really started this event 10 years ago as we're entering the 10th anniversary of this event. So Tyler, a guy who has been a part of all 10 years of this event. So I'm happy that we were able to talk to him.
Yeah, he was in the broadcast booth last night with me, and now on the track today. As he mentioned, he has that notebook. He could take what he saw last night and apply it to the race today that he was able to execute properly. But I'm kind of jealous of him almost in a sense. I don't get that notebook that he has. I've only done a practice race in this package, so I'll need to get with him tomorrow and just kind of pick his mind, see what they all learn, because I'm going to tomorrow blind just like you are. I mean, well, you didn't really turn any laps, did you, yesterday, Cruz? So me and you both are going to be going into tomorrow blind.
Yeah, at least you don't have. Well, maybe it's easier for me because my mentality is, hey, I gotta win or I'm not in. So I don't have a brake pedal tomorrow in the race. So at least I think my decision's easier because at least I got 25 laps to decide. You got 160.
Yeah, you'll be all out tomorrow, win or in. It's all or nothing for you. But for me, I have to kind of figure this out, basically lap 1 of the race to kind of get my footing, see what's going on. It's going to be very interesting for me, and for you, it's going to be make or break, very interesting. So we'll be watching tomorrow and see how you fare.
Yeah, and see, like I'd believe you with you being a bit nervous if you weren't one of the better super speedway racers in general in WINSTEL. Just like McGee, how you've been in so many highlights, you've been so close so many years. Tell these people like what this race means to you. Like if you were able to actually win or at least finish in the top 3 again.
This is our whole year. We spend the entire year prepping for this. This is our biggest event. This is our marquee event for WINSTEL. So it's extremely important for us. This is already 2500, and winning this is about the biggest thing we can do in WINSTEL. It's been a coveted prize for years. For the past 5-6 years, it's been a star-studded field from top to bottom. Extremely high SOF. Every driver in this field is capable of winning not only this race but any race they really enter. So it's a huge deal. It's incredible.
I can't think of a better description than that. For those of you that have just joined us right now, I'm Brandon Cruz Monsivice. Joined beside me, the person you just heard talking, Emily Howe, the 83 car that you're going to see tomorrow. Zach Johnston making everything happen in the booth. Driver's meeting is about 1:30 away from being over with, just going over the basic rules. And for those that are yet again join us, we don't have a yellow line rule. You can use that apron on the back straightaway. Just really the only place you can't use it is on the initial restart entering turn 1. Outside of that, this entire track is fair game.
Yep, as we saw in the last race, there were a couple times when drivers were able to use that yellow line to their advantage and move up a couple spots. We saw it very applicable for the transfer position area around 12th position.
Yeah, we saw Sean using it to make moves. He got the lead from Connor Horn on the inside lane. So I think that still throws people off a little bit because pretty much in every single series you're in, you follow the yellow line rule. I can't really think of other leagues or series that let you actually use that apron, and so you can usually see the guys who aren't used to that actually being a lane, almost leaving it more open than the guys who are used to being able to use it.
Yep, and with us having more cars in this race than we did the last one, that transfer fight's going to be a lot harder. You know, you're not going to have just a couple of guys fighting for it. You're going to have entire groups of people who are trying to all fight for 12th position. So it's going to be a very, very, very wild event. We've saved the best ones for last, it seems like, this evening.
Yeah, you mentioned that. The heat race yesterday had a couple cautions, one early, a couple late in the event. And this previous heat that we just saw, a few minutes ago, went green to green or flag to flag, went green the entire way, so we didn't have any yellows or anything. I do believe that this will probably be the more hairier of the three events. If you look at the grid, or not the grid, but the drivers in here, I mean, you have a gigantic stacked field. You got Blake Reynolds, the previous WINSTEL 400 winner, Nicholas Doucette, Ryan Doucette, Christian Budd, Dylan Parker. I mean, so many big names in this that can easily be a contender tomorrow. I think we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing in this one.
Yeah, this one's probably going to be, as we said, the wildest one because we've got the most cars and we've got some very, very big names in here. Several black stripes, several guys who have been in and out of the Coke Series for years, out of the Pro Series. This is going to be hard-fought, tooth and nail from start to finish, this entire race here, this heat number 3.
On your screen right now, we got drivers taking their one-lap qualifying, so they're not doing two. They're trying to get this in, at least by 8:40 right now, or at least 8:45. And we've seen that it is difficult to pass here, and so I would argue that qualifying here is almost more important than any other race that you can really think of at a plate track, mainly because we saw the two lanes in the last event when the cars were side by side. You can't make any moves. Like, you cannot pass people at all, and so qualifying here is absolutely crucial to you to at least survive the first 10 laps of this heat race.
Yeah, I mean, track position, while not paramount, it is something that you do want to have. It's a security blanket. It keeps you out of that mid-pack. It keeps you from having to fight and be on the back foot the entire race. So qualifying and pit road execution have been two very big storylines the entire past 2 nights.
Yeah, you mentioned pit road execution. We're going to be seeing that around lap 20, 23, 24. 22 cars going to be taking the green flag here. I believe in the first heat we had 19 or 18. In this previous one we had 18. 22 cars, 4 more than what we've seen. As we just said, this is going to be a stacked field. So in this situation, nearly half the field not going to be able to qualify for the race tomorrow. And so outside of pit entry being crucial, I mean, this entire race is going to be crucial. As we're seeing right now, we got at least 10 guys taking a queue time. I think we're probably going to end up seeing at least 18, 17 cars here take a queue time.
Yep, Blake Reynolds just flashes off screen as he takes preliminary pole at a 47.485. Times are slower than what we saw in pole qualifying on Sunday, just because of the fact that they aren't able to cut up onto the track first and have their black flag cleared, so they have to take the apron and takes a lot of speed of the cars. But as we see Nicholas Doucette, he's also a contender for pole here, so it'll be very interesting to see him as he heads through turns 3 and 4, how he's able to execute here, and if he's able to steal the pole from Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, Nicholas Doucette, we talked about him during the qualifying last weekend, a guy that I think is going to be very fast. We should probably see him end up being around 5th or 6th right now as he uses that apron to try and gain at least another 10th or a 100th, somewhere around there. 47.505 for him. Going to be just an absolute studded field. Like, I mean, this is going to be insane. Like, even just looking at the qualifying times here, your top 4 are, like, I mean, right under a blanket.
Yeah, the entire top 5 are within 1/100th of each other. I mean, 0.012 seconds separate the first top 5. So, again, very, very close pole times. It's going to be a wild one. We've got guys who, some big names starting in the back. We've got Ken Huff. He's a WINSTEL regular. He's starting 14th. We haven't seen, we've got Dustin Montgomery. He's a very good driver in WINSTEL. Starting 10th, Gabriel Mauricio. He's always good at plate tracks. He's now preliminarily in 10th. So these guys are not safe from the start. So they're going to have to be driving very, very hard at the start to get their way back forward and hopefully be able to keep going at the front and keep going in transfer position. So the 22 cars are going to take the grid here in about the next minute.
Yeah, 22 cars taking grid, Jaden Carter in the 1 car, the only car of the 22 not taking a qualifying time right now. So right what I said there, I thought we were going to see everybody putting down a qualifying time, trying to start as high up as they can. This is a situation to where when you look at those top, let's say at least 9 drivers, I mean, all those drivers are going to contend for the win. We talked about Blake Reynolds during qualifying last weekend, and I said in the last heat, I do believe that the WINSTEL 400 winner was in the previous heat. However, I think Blake Reynolds has the highest chance to be the first ever 2-time WINSTEL 400 champion.
Yeah, Blake's been aggressive all week long, and so he's always up at the front in this race, and he's always a contender at every plate track. And we've also got guys like Nicholas Doucette here. Nick hasn't won a WINSTEL 400 before, but he has led the second most laps in history in WINSTEL Super Speedway competition.
Yeah, Nicholas Doucette going to be taking the grid here in 4th. So when we look at the guys who I think are going to win this race, I think there's 3 names that we need to look at here. And I think it is Blake Reynolds, I think it is Nicholas Doucette, and I think it is Christian Budd. Those are probably my 3 favorite guys looking at this race to be aggressive and to want to be in the front of this entire race. Like, we're seeing, a 22 car field right now. We're seeing, we saw yesterday a crash early, entering turn 3 on the first lap, basically wrecking from 10th on back. The way to escape the wrecks here at super speedways is to be up front. I know you can be behind. I know you can, slow down, but in a heat race with 40 laps, I really don't want to deal with being, back, worrying about, oh man, I hope we don't get a caution, or I hope we get a caution, like, oh, I'm losing the draft. Like, the way to be safe here is to be up front.
For sure. I mean, as well, you mentioned Christian Budd. He's a WINSTEL regular and multi-time champion. However, his Achilles heel in all of his career has been super speedway racing. He does not like plate racing. And he's not a bad plate racer, but he's had historically bad luck. So I look for him to try to be very aggressive in the beginning laps, just to try to find a safe space in line and hope to not get shuffled out and have to work his way back to the front, because again, that's going to be a situation that he's just not really looking forward to and not really super comfortable with, as compared to someone like Blake Reynolds and Nick, who really excel at this type of racing.
Yeah, as we're sitting on the grid here, I do want to just, but before we start rolling out, can you just take a gander at that 023 car of Ben Baffert? I mean, honestly, that might be my favorite paint scheme. I talked about it during qualifying. It just puts a smile on my face every time I look at it.
Yep, Ben Baffert in the 0223 Floppa car Ford Mustang. That's definitely a very interesting paint scheme with the wood paneling and the Floppa cat on the hood. Reminds me kind of like a Talladega Nights type scheme.
I just love it as you're on board with the 04 looking back at the car. Like I said, I'm just, maybe it's my peanut brain, but I just smile every time I see this car. All right, so looking at the grid as the field peels off of pit road, obviously Blake Reynolds in the 66 car, going to be your pole sitter. Triffin Davis in the 96 car on the outside lane of row number 1. On the inside of row number 2 is Dylan Alt in the 42 car. Outside of him is Nicholas Doucette starting in the 4th position. Jake Paluden in the 03 starting 5th. Christian Budd starting 6th on the outside of row number 3. Ryan Doucette inside of row number 4. Outside of him is Bobby, Shinny in the 99 car. Dylan Parker in the 52. And round out your top 10 is Gabriel in the 04.
Starting 11th is Dustin Montgomery in the 12 car. Outside of him in the 023 is Ben D. Baffert. Inside of row 7 is going to be Anthony Emery in the 18 car. The 25 of Riley Grant Davis in his Chevrolet is outside of him. Ken Huff in his 55 Chevrolet is inside row 8. Caden Atkins in the 02 outside of row 8. Row 9 is Gilles Chatlin in the 236 car. And outside of him is Chris Wetz in his 71 Ford. Row 10 is the 60 of Brandon Coppinger. And outside of him is Josh Fredette in the 56 Ford.
Absolutely no. I need help. I need help here. Red flag. I need help.
Inside of row 11 is Neon Flores in the 888 car, and rounding out the field is Jaden Carter in the number 1 Chevrolet.
Look, I have a Crazy last name. I did not want to butcher that at all, as the pace car will duck its way down the pit road. Blake Reynolds taking the green flag and leading the field, this time through the tri-oval.
Very, very rough start there for Triffin Davis in the outside row. Really backed him up there as Blake Reynolds gets a big jump with Dylan Alt on the inside. Getting a pretty good gap on the outside row. The outside, again, still staying pretty organized, but a bad start for the outside pole sitter of Triffin Davis.
Yeah, Davis really falling back right now. 4 car lengths back from your leader, Nicholas Doucette. Started 4th place. Now he's looking all the way back at being 7th and 8th by the time they come around to the start-finish line this time by. As you look at the front row, not the front row, the leaders, you know, top 5 cars in a line. The last heat race we saw the lines be even with about 8 cars in each one for about 7 laps. Here, it's already out of turn 4, just your leaders taking that inside lane.
Yep, the inside line is the safest around this track, so, you know, if you're the top 5, you're really not interested in trying to make a move outside right now and try to move your way up and risk going to the back. So the inside line's pretty much, you know, as kind of been trained in this package. It's pretty even inside and outside, but over the past year, we've kind of been trained, if you're not used to WINSTEL competition, that the inside's the only way. So a lot of our intrinsic training just tells us go to the bottom as soon as you can. So that's a lot of what we see here. You know, as we get further into the race, we might see him branch out and go 3 wide. As we look at now, Anthony Emery in the 12th spot, he's holding down the transfer position right now, racing with Christian Budd.
Yeah, you only got 3 cars in the outside lane. You got Budd in the 50, you got Doucette in the 51, and Davis in the 96 car. All those guys are at least familiar with each other. They've been in the practice sessions this week, so I think they're confident in what they can do on an outside lane. I don't think we're going to see them hop to the bottom, but everybody else has pretty much filed down to the inside lane.
It looks like more and more there's a couple drivers in the back who are kind of getting a little bit itchy and antsy there. They may swing up to the outside line here and try to move that forward as they start to stabilize, and you know, as Nick gets more comfortable behind Triffin Davis, it looks like they're starting to gain a little bit of ground here as they go to the outside of Ben Baffert and move back towards the front.
Yeah, Baffert, the first car with some type of gap in front of him between him and the 12 car as that pretty much disappears. We're already seeing the big checkups on the inside lane. A lot of these guys in here, at least on the inside lane, have not really practiced this week. What do you think is catching them off guard? Maybe the fact that you can't really get on the bumper that you have been able to, because we're seeing guys almost give more room than I thought they would. I mean, we're seeing, you know, at least half a car length or a car length between these cars in the inside lane.
I think a lot of it is just, you know, they aren't comfortable yet. You know, it takes 20, 25 laps to really kind of figure out what this car is doing, what you need to have in the car to make it, you know, comfortable for you, where you can put it. And, you know, practice is fine, but we only ever see about 7, 8 cars ever practice in a group. So this is the first time they've been on track with almost a full field. So the air is moving around a lot, you know, and mid-pack, you know, as we see the 96 of Triffin get very excited with the front bumper of Nick Doucette there. That's going to cost him a lot of time on the outside line.
Oh, I just talked him up about being comfortable with each other, but Nicholas Doucette lifted the rear end of the 96 car. Davis up, nearly cost the field there. They're going to file down to the inside lane. You see Doucette on the inside now, leaving out Budd as he falls to the back of the line. You're seeing Davis just trapped in the outside lane. You could see the speed differential between the inside of all those cars there in the 96 just being passed. Now he's being passed by Doucette. Now he's got Gabe on the inside. He might try and jump down in front of Ken right here. I think that's what you have to do, but just almost lost the draft there.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about on the grid, you know, this is a nightmare situation for Christian Budd. He now has fallen back to 16th, probably fallen back to 17th or 18th here by the time he finds a hole. And he's going to have to really work his way back forward here after starting in the top 6, you know, after a rocky start at the start of the race on the outside line.
Yeah, Bud's day is just getting worse and worse. He was in 16th the last time by. This time, I think he's going to be probably coming around 18th or 17th. The only car stuck in the inside lane. We're going to see him basically probably file in line around 21st at this point when everybody comes around.
Yep, looks like he'll find the gap here behind Chris Sweat, second last in line now in the 21st position. So very rough break for Christian Budd, you know, like we talked about, you know. This plate racing has always been his Achilles heel, so we're going to see here as we look at Gabe and several other cars utilize an inside line that we hadn't really seen previously to get right to the bumper but not be able to make an actual move there on the 25 of Grant Davis.
You know, we talked about, or I was going to talk about stories, and I want to say it right fast. Obviously, Blake Reynolds started on pole up there, my favorite to go back, or at least be a two-time champion of the WINSTEL 400. Nicholas Doucette started fourth. I mean, you started fourth, driver. You thought you'd at least be good to lap 10, but you're looking right now on lap 7. You're an 11th one car between you and not being able to transfer into tomorrow. I think that's why we're seeing Doucette be comfortable, either looking to the outside of the car in front of him right now or throwing it to the bottom of the apron down this back straightaway, which I think he might do. I mean, as we're seeing the 96 car push Gabe up to the outside lane, he's making a move. I mean, these guys are racing back here for the transfer spot, and we're barely on lap 7.
Good to see again Gabe get shuffled out, manages to find a hole in front of the 55 Kim Huff. He is now outside the transfer position. That was her 12th spot right now. So now Trevor Davis has worked his way back in. These guys are a lot more aggressive than what we saw previously. They're going to be racing very hard. See the outside line forming up again from the back, trying to work their way forward and reorganize here as we hit the lap number 8.
I think we're going to see an absolute massive checkup here, either in turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. I mean, these guys are just gaining absolute massive runs, and it just keeps getting worse and worse as we see contact between Gabe in the 04 and Davis in the 96. As I just said, I mean, I think these checkups are going to be bigger and bigger, especially here in 3 and 4. I mean, when you look at Doucette, when you look at other guys around the 8th and 9th positions right now, they're having their car length gaps, shrink to half a car length and even smaller right now entering 3.
Yeah, I mean, as the intensity keeps ramping up, the tolerance for mistakes is going to get smaller and smaller. These cars are not as stable as they were previously. They're a lot easier to get sideways if you hook a bumper along. We saw that with Triffett Davis and Nicholas said earlier. So I don't expect them to be able to keep getting away with this as they get more and more aggressive. You see, there we go into turn number 1. There's a car sideways, one around. I don't know if that's going to be a caution or not as we see which car is that. I can't tell off in the grass to number 1. Riley Grant Davis.
Yeah, it's Davis in the 25. He got spun off the front end of the 51 of Nicholas Doucette. As I said, Doucette trying to make something happen. As we look through the field, the checkup that basically caused gave Nicholas Doucette a ton of damage on the rear end of that WINSTEL 400 machine. Gabe has some slight damage on his machine, the 04 car, and the 25 is left by himself, basically coming out of turn 2 right now. No damage, but certainly out of the draft right now. I'm looking through the field to see who else got some damage in that. Looks like Josh in the 56 got some damage to that checkup. I mean, we were just mentioning how these checkups are getting bigger and bigger, and that's what you deal with.
Yeah, I mean, and as we accordion back together here, as they kind of catch the packing, and we're probably going to see more of that as these runs kind of recondense again. So I don't think we're out of the woods yet for action here as we see the top 12 kind of be separated from the rest of the field.
Man, what is this run? Doucette had an ungodly amount of speed out of turn 2. He throws it to the bottom right now. He's still trying to make that car work with some heavy damage on the rear end of that 51 machine.
Yeah, I mean, you can get it down there, but that line of cars has a lot of energy in it, so it's harder than what you would think it is to actually get down there and actually able to hit that left rear quarter panel, the guy ahead of you, and side draft him. So Nick's tried that several times, and it's kind of bit him out a couple times.
Yeah, other than the 25 we got spun a few laps ago, your top 21 cars separated by about 2.5 seconds as they barrel into turns 1 and 2 for the 11th time. Your leader, still Blake Reynolds, has been there the entire time. Dylan has been in second pretty much from the drop of the green flag as well. Ryan Doucette has been running in third in the 77. Jake in the 03 just running third. I mean, your top 4 has just been on cloud 9, hasn't had to deal with any racing, got to the lead stupid fast as we see some more checkups in 3 and 4, but your leaders have just been chilling. They haven't even seen any competition. Nobody has even challenged them for the lead, whereas if you have been running a 9th, 10th, 11th, you're basically just surviving right now.
Yeah, it's a battleground out there. The front few guys are in pretty comfortable situations, but there's a full 9 cars who are trying very, very hard to get into the top 12 right now, and they're fighting tooth and nail.
Trying to listen to race control and what they were saying there, didn't catch it from actually Tyler Head, the guy we were just interviewing a bit earlier. I mean, I want to just literally focus on Doucette. I mean, this man is making moves yet again, throwing it to the bottom, entering turn 3, trying to gain positions. I mean, I have no clue how he's doing this with that damage. I mean, I don't know if we've really seen a good image. I know they're flying by your screen, but the whole left side of that rear end is bunched up. He has damage on the right side of that spoiler as well. Like, I mean, this 51 car has some serious speed with damage. As we're starting to see the single file lane get more and more familiar and more comfortable, kind of putting their left sides on that apron out of the tri-oval and certainly down this back straightaway.
Yeah, looking out the rear deck lid of the Nick Doucette car, the back bumper on it, the center of it, at least where you're going to be pushing, is still flush and centered. So Gabe and Nick are still able to just beat the bumpers off of each other and make these runs that they had in the turn 3 and turn 1. See some heavy blocks in the turn 3 and 4.
Oh my gosh, I just can't shut up. I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, these drivers, you're in the transfer positions, and we're blocking into the grass. Reminded me kind of Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth, as Doucette is obviously not happy with that. Like, I mean, we're just going to keep a camera on this because I think this is where the action's going to be before green flag pit stops.
You know, as you mentioned, I mean, we are almost to the window for green flag stops. They've still going to execute on pit road and beyond. Even still with this intense racing, as to see these moves in the turns 1 and 3 from Nick Doucette and Gabe Mauricio.
Yeah, Mauricio has been Doucette's best friend. I mean, look at Bobby in the 99 being like, Nick, you are not going below me. I guess we're just gonna lose this front pack because I'm just gonna keep blocking you down this back straightaway. I wish we had a microphone inside the 51 car because I'm sure he's just fuming right now. It's very rare that I see Nicholas Doucette run this aggressive. Like, normally, I mean, he's normally up front racing hard, but I mean, he's racing a lot like Sean did in this previous heat race of just like taking no prisoners.
Yeah, it seems like right now these bits of contact and damage has really spilled Nick's cookies and milk. He's really pushing hard right now, and he's very aggressive. He is safe. You mentioned that earlier, and this may not pay off for him. He doesn't really need to keep going forward. I know he wants to drag Gabe up with him, but Gabe's safe. They've got a buffer between them and the rest of the field. Maybe time to start playing defense and think about how to keep those guys behind them and not, stack the field up and cause another accident.
We're speaking of the transfer spot being your top 12 as you were looking off the rear end of that 51 car. Everybody who went to the apron there was your driver in 12th, 11th, 10th, and 9th. Like, these guys are, like, you're in. Like, I mean, we're 16 laps in. I know we talked about excitement and everything, but I just didn't expect the guys who are 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th to be the ones throwing it to the apron every time. I'm curious to see how many guys go on this inside line, as I think Doucette's actually going to have and he gets sideways. He had a huge run. They threw it to the bottom. He saves it. Gabe was going to push him, but Gabe barely almost turned him. That's going to shove Gabe out of the transfer spot. I mean, this is the action zone, 11th and 10th.
I mean, like we talked about earlier, last lap, Gabe and Nick need to be careful because, as we saw there, they got too aggressive and now it cost Gabe. Gabe is now separated from Nick. Nick's now in danger from Anthony Emery, who has been making mad the entire race. So this is just continuing getting more and more heated.
Look, if you're Anthony in that 18 car and you see that 51, you see him have damage, you see how he's been racing, I think you got to throw it to the inside and get around him as quick as possible. No shade towards Nick. I'm just trying to put myself in the 18's position here.
Well, definitely. I mean, Nick's already done that to Anthony, a couple of times. We see them go down aggressively to the bottom as they shuffle Anthony out of line because he didn't do it to Nick soon enough. So here we go again to the back straightaway.
Yeah, Davis. I thought it would be the 18, but it was Triffin Davis in the 96 and Gabe in the 04 being aggressive, throwing it to the inside lane as they're going to catch the 51 car. Like I said, your leaders on Cloud 9 have had no competition whatsoever, but everybody's killing each other for 9th and 10th.
I've seen now the transmission goes to Ken Huff, who's now managed to work his way slowly. And I thought,
They're 3 car lengths down. I mean, nearly in the grass again. They are not letting that 51 car by. The 18 is not happy. The 04 of Gabe is getting Davis sideways in turn 2. And now, due to that, your leaders are just going to keep on pulling away. Gabriel going to drop himself down behind the 51 car. Ken Huff, the guy who started 15th, he's now in the transfer position. I don't know if he'll let Davis in there or not, but I mean, you want to talk about nearly wrecking. I mean, you want to talk about using the entire track. I mean, these guys are using all the way to the grass on both ends of the racetrack, entering 3 and entering 1.
Nick and Gabe are about to have another oh my gosh! They're on the grass again!
man, hey, they bought the track and they're using all of it on this iRacing service. You mentioned Gabe and Nick probably going to have another fat run out of turn 2. Here it is. That lane is checking up. Nick is looking to the outside. Does he throw it to the bottom or does he stay with the 04? He's just going to ride the line. Wasn't able to take advantage of that there. But I mean, these drivers are racing. We kind of go through the back of the field, look at where some of your higher starters are. Obviously, Davis started second. He's currently in 14th. Christian Budd started 6th, got shuffled back. It's with lap 19. We're looking at halfway this time by, and Christian Budd is in 20th right now. Haven't been able to make up any positions since he got shuffled back.
Yeah, Christian Budd's been trying that outside line there back there with the 60 car of Coppinger. They have not been able to make up ground, but I mean, honestly, probably would have been better for them to stay on the inside line and kind of take Nick and Gabe's approach of trying to shuffle people out of line, because they really haven't been able to gain much ground overall compared to Nick and Gabe and Ken, who have been able to really shuffle people out of the line and move forward. Oh, again, cars in the apron.
Making contact. Oh, no. Davis shut the door on the 18. Now they're going to be passed on the outside lane. Anthony in the 18 just dropping like a fly. He had to let off the gas there, or he would have spun the 96 car as they're getting sideways. The car saves it again. How are these drivers driving it like this? Caden sideways again on the apron. Christian Budd gaining some positions, but your 5 car, I mean, these guys are racing like madmen right now.
Like we said, this heat was going to be the exciting one, and it is provided so far. We still haven't been into green flag stops yet. These guys are absolutely just beating each other senseless. It looks like we have one car who is now out of that whole situation, lost the draft. The number 02 of Caden Atkins has now lost his touch of this lead draft through that exchange of bumpers.
Yeah, look, this is the highest strength of field we've had all week in the heat races, but I'm terrified of this pit entry, especially if all these guys enter at the same time. We saw issues last time. We saw issues in the last heat race where Jose Salas Jr., almost basically barreled into the field entering the pit lane. I think there's a chance that we see that happen here.
Definitely. I mean, the red bits is out. These guys are angry. They're aggressive. It's going to be a very, very interesting final 20 laps in this heat number 3. As we see again, Nick trying to throw the move at the turn number 1.
Yeah, Bobby in the 99, not even really blocking a run for Nick, but just being like, look, you're not getting by me. I mean, these guys are just seeing red right now, and you're in transfer positions, guys. Like, you just have to ride for 18 or for 19 more laps. Just get to the end. But I guess they want this win, and we don't even have money on the line for this.
No, I mean, there's nothing to win other than pride, but these guys all have pride. They all have, for lack of better terms, egos, well-deserved egos, but they all want to win these races, and when you start ruffling their feathers and knocking up their cookies and milk, this is what happens. Very aggressive driving, extreme fights for the transfer position here as they're all trying to work their way into the WINSTEL 400 tomorrow evening.
I can't even think of any cookies and milks or soda cookie jokes to even come up with. I mean, these guys, I don't even think it's milk. I think they're just drinking alcohol at this point because they are driving. I mean, like, what? I mean, this is entertaining. I love this, but like, this is crazy.
Absolute insanity out here for 40 laps just to get into the show. This isn't even the show. Tomorrow night's the show. This is just to get in.
Yeah, just to get in. Speaking of that, we're on lap 23. We're leaving turn 4 right here. I mean, this is where, like, you're getting in, pitting, I guess, distance. Just went blank on my words there for a second. But you didn't go in on lap 23. I'm thinking you're going to be going in this time on lap 24.
Yeah, I believe I kind of am flipping through the scanners now, trying to listen to these drivers and see who's coming to pit road, who isn't. I'm assuming this lap by, we'll see at least half the field kind of peel off here as we are now at the end of this fuel tank. So look at pit road entry this time. It's going to be wild. Look for that cone on the inside to see who gets a penalty like Jose Salas Jr. did that last time, because it's going to be all about execution here as we've seen these guys race very aggressively this entire event.
I got the scanners open. I got the chat open. I haven't seen any indication from any driver that they're going to come in this time by. They might be pushing it to lap 25 as the leaders are staying out. All the way back to 10th place is staying out. I don't see a single car entering pit lane this time by, so they're going to be pushing it to lap 25.
And it seems like things now, I'm assuming they're starting to kind of organize their pit entry as we see Nick kind of calm down and Gabe kind of calm down. I think they've either learned their lesson as they're trying to, hit pause on the racing action until we get back to pit stops. And And as we say that, I just heard this first set of scanners light up, and we've got scanners everywhere, people waving their hands on the back straightaway. A lot of the field is going to be pitting this time by at turn number 4.
Yeah, you got Jaden Carter, Triffin Davis, Nicholas Doucette being part of the guys. Nicholas Doucette always makes you laugh with his chat, but as we see the leaders drive it down onto the bottom, got to be careful to not run over anybody. So far, everything's looking good. Nearly collisions on the pit road entry with Ryan Doucette and the 52.
I think I just saw Ben Bafford. Ben Bafford missed the cone. I believe he'll have a penalty here.
The orange cone is in the middle of pit lane right now, but outside of that, I think we all made it through. I have no idea how. I mean, hats off to these drivers. They're professionals. High strength of field here. I don't know why I'm shocked, but we do have a lot of issues. Parker sliding through his pit lane. We had the 03 of Jake slide through his pit. Blake Reynolds going to retain the lead off of pit road. He's the first one out as everybody else peels out of pit road behind him.
We'll see the final group of leaders, about the last 6 cars that are getting to pit here. They should be coming this time by. Maybe we'll see them be able to execute better with less traffic as they enter in pit road. The final 6 cars take the green flag stops here. As the heavy, I think that's got to be speeding Cruz. What about you?
I think he made it. Driver, I saw 58 before he crossed those cones. We're talking about the 18th, the 18 of Anthony Emery. I think he made it through, driver. We're going to have to see, but I think he's good, being aggressive, trying to gain spots. But I get so terrified seeing these guys, and he is not serving a penalty. I get so terrified to see these guys throw it to the bottom out of turn 4 and just look like they're going to barrel into the field.
It is insane every time they do that. And again, like you said, I don't believe I saw anyone get a penalty there on that cycle of green flag stops. So see sideways off of pit road for Christian Budd as they get back onto the speedway.
Yeah, now we're seeing a lot of tandems throughout this field. You got your leaders, Blake Reynolds in the 66, followed by Dylan Alt in the 42. You have Nicholas Doucette and Gabe in the 51 and 04. They have been working together this entire race. Other cars throughout the field are pretty much with partners at this point. We're going to have to see how everybody shakes out in probably about 3 or 4 laps, see if there's any packs left.
And again, it looks like we should see some cars as they cycle through kind of get reorganized and maybe be able to make a charge on some of these 2-car groups that we've seen kind of siphon out and see the field really get disorganized here as we've gone through the cycle of green flag stops. As we said, it's all about execution on pit road. And so we've seen, these pro guys have been able to execute very well. They've got a huge lead on Nicholas Doucette and Gabe behind them as in a small little gap to Ryan and Anthony behind them as Ben D. Bafford tries to shuffle in line with them. We'll see if that can interrupt them. And I believe we will see some car starts recording back together. They're all within draft distance of each other, and they've all been very aggressive. So, it's going to be wild, these final 13 laps.
Yeah, 13 to go, displayed on your screen. I'm with you. I think around lap 30, 31, we're going to at least see, your top 10 at least get put back together, because we're going to have Reynolds, Dylan. As I say that, Dylan is having issues trying to get caught up with Blake Reynolds. Going back to not really being familiar with how this draft package and how the setup is working. Blake was in our practice sessions. He's ran some of the practice sessions that we've had up this year. Dylan has not. So, because of that, we're seeing Blake Reynolds and Dylan's lead basically shrinking all the way up to Anthony Emery right now.
Yeah, let's see the pack recompress for the lead. We're also seeing the pack recompress for the transfer spot. There's a pack of about 4 cars and 14 or 15th led by Christian Budd, chasing down Triffin Davis in 12th, the last transfer spot, and they're going to be catching him this lap. So this is going to be a very, very interesting spot. Only 1 car from this group is going to make it, and I don't think they're within distance to catch those front guys. It's all going to be them duking it out for this final transfer spot.
Yeah, I hate it when we have to divide our attention here, but it's the transfer spot of the race for the lead. We'll be touching back and forth. You were riding on board with Christian Budd on the back straightaway. He's caught up to this field, followed by Brandon in the 60, Bobby in the 99. These guys are here, and this is for the transfer spot. We got 11 laps to go. You just said it. 1 car out of these 6 are going to be transferring in. We don't make it to the checkered flag. I'm going to say that right now. I don't think we make it to the checkered flag.
I can't believe we made it this far. It's been such insane racing the entire time. I don't know how these guys have managed to hold it together as long as they have. We've seen plenty of cars sideways, nearly wrecking. 1 car gets spun. It's absolute insanity here at WINSTEL Speed Weeks.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I was looking through the field. Nicholas Doucette almost got turned by the 04 Gabe again, and they're in 5th place right now. I mean, these guys are racing with absolutely nothing to lose right now.
And see, again, this second pack is starting to recompress. As we do have something interesting here. Christian Butt and Dustin Montgomery have worked very well together in the past. I don't know that they're official teammates, but they have been pseudo teammates for a very long time. And they're going to have to work together here to lock at least one of these guys into this field. They can't both lock their way in unless we see someone from that front pack fall off, which I don't think we're going to see. I think everyone in that front pack ahead of them, unless they can either A, organize hard enough to catch that front pack, or B, have to sacrifice one of another to make at least one car in. Very interesting dynamic here in this pack for the transfer spot.
Yeah, you just said it. How long they work together. Who's Caesar and who's Brutus in this situation? Who betrays who? They're obviously going to work together to get by these guys, and at the end, you just said it. I mean, they're going to have to fight for themselves, and one of them's going to betray the other if we don't see a caution here. But right now, Christian Budd and Dustin are just biding their time. Look, when you're looking at that black box on your screen, you see you're in 14th, you see you're in 15th, you see the laps ticking down, 9 to go. You know you got help behind you. You know you got people that are at least going to make this outside line work, but only one driver is going to make it in. So you're basically racing for a win right here. It's all or nothing for these drivers back here, as we see a bit of a checkup between Dustin and Christian as it's accordion through these drivers, these 7 drivers right here, all the way back to Ken Huff in the 55 car, all the way up to Triffin Davis in the 96.
Now, Cruz, I do want to point something out. All of these cars in this last pack are clean. They have no damage. They've all bided their time very cleanly. They're running about 2/10 faster than that pack ahead of them. Nick Doucette, his car is damaged. Gabe has damage. Josh Burnett, the 56, has damage. They're running about a 47.1 the past 2 or 3 laps. And Triffin Davis has consistently been running 46.9 flat. So they're about 2/10 faster per lap. And they might just catch that pack ahead of them by the end of this race. And especially if they start racing again, they've been very aggressive. If they can organize and get up to that pack, they might just pull out a fast one and absolutely surprise us.
There's a chance. I know we're focusing on the transfer spot. I want to focus on this pack right in front of him, led by Nicholas Doucette. He's currently in the 5th position. Look at how unstable that 51 car is. Every time Gabe gets behind him, I don't know if it's the net code, I don't know if it's the damage, but every time they do that, they're slowing that pack down more and more. And as you said, that gap between these 2 packs are slowing down as we are right at 7 to go. I mean, by the time we get to 3 to go, 2 to go, we might end up having 16 cars together.
And with them having that momentum, I think we'll see them go to the outside and probably be able to make up some decent ground on them, as it looks like they're only about a 1.5 seconds back from that front group ahead of them.
Yeah, they're trying hard. They're trying to get there, and it's a situation to where, at this point, if you're Christian Budd and you're Davis, like at this point, do you just ride and hope that you catch that pack in front of you?
I think for now, until we get down to at least a couple, maybe like 2 laps to go, you've got to, because you're looking at it, and you know that you aren't going to have a shot if you don't organize together and do this. Looking at the gap there, they've clawed in about 0.2 of a second that lap. The calculator's burning, and I'm trying to think, can they? Because they'll catch draft about a second back off that pack, and I don't know if they have enough laps to do it, and it's going to be very close. I don't know. It's down to the wire.
Honestly, I think they're here. If they have one big checkup in that second pack, led by the 51 and Gabe, I think they're going to be here. So when you're in this situation, I know that the guys in that second pack are thinking about it too, and if I could make it through this without coughing again, that'd be great. These drivers are seeing that this pack behind them is catching them. They're in the transfer spot right now. Do you try and make something happen? Do you try and get by the 51 and the 04? Do you just ride? Are you hoping that you don't see another yellow? I mean, we got 5 to go here, and there's a chance that even if you're in the transfer spot, like if you're in 11th right now, if you're in 10th like Dylan Parker is right now, like in 5 laps, you might not be in the transfer spot.
They are flying in that third pack. They were about 0.3 faster than Nick Doucette that last time by. I think if you're in that situation, that second pack, you can't move out of line and try to race them because you're just going to slow the pack down, like we saw with the second race, the second heat. Once they caught those lap cars and started racing, they lost a lot of speed. You're kind of stuck in the situation where you're being led by a car that has significant damage, so you're going to... I don't know what to do in the situation. As a driver, you hope that you can hold them off for long enough, but looking here, 46.859 for Triffin again, and a 47.07 for Nick. Another 0.2. This is going to be very, very close. We see drivers on the radio are starting to get antsy. Dylan L. Parker talking about the fact that they're pushing a parachute in Nick Doucette, and that the third pack is catching them. They're nervous. They're scared.
Drama is heating up. We're going to have 3 to go. No offense to the leaders, but Blake Reynolds, Dylan All, Anthony Emery, Ryan Doucette, your top 4. I don't think I'm going to talk about you for the rest of the race. The story right now is the transfer spot and how fast these 2 packs converge on each other as they enter the tri-oval. This time by, we're going to have 3 to go in the final heat for the WINSTEL 400.
That time by, Triffin Davis lost a little bit of ground. They weren't organized too correctly, but again, another 10.5 caught on that lap.
I think Davis is here. 3 to go down this back straightaway. He's in the draft at this point. Like, he's getting the tail end of the draft. By the next time by out of turn 2, I think they're gonna suck up and get there. So if you're in the second draft, like if you're Dylan Parker, if you're Josh in the 56, when you see that second line here, like when they catch up and go to the outside line, do you go out and block? What do you do here?
I think, it depends on what they do. If they try to throw it underneath you, or if Triffin just tries to take it as far as he can. See, 1 car off in the grass here in turn number 1. I don't know what the deal is there.
Oh, he's going back up the track. Oh, he's in the outside lane. He's coming back down. Oh no, slow car down low. He is not up to speed. Nicholas Doucette having to take an evasive action. This second pack, that is going to kill their momentum. That third pack is here. Tristan Davis, a huge run. He's flying down the back straightaway in that transfer position. He's looking at the 236 of Giles. He's going to eat him alive as they enter turns 3 and 4. This is it. This pack is here. We're going to come down to 1 to go at a turn 4 this time by, and the transfer spot is up in the air for anybody to take.
Again, they have completely collapsed this pack. They decided to push the number 236 of Giles Chatelain, and that's kind of lost a lot of momentum here as we see the outside line of Bud, Coppinger, and Montgomery form. They're going to try to go around for this transfer spot, and with this inside line being very disorganized, I don't know if we're going to see anyone jump up and help them. Bud's going to be crazy to come back to the line.
Bud's got to try and make something happen to get up there. He's pushing the 12. The 12 gets sideways. He's going to come down and slow down Bud. Your transfer position is up in the air. It's Chris Retz right now, I do believe, as we've kind of changed up, and the 60 car is sideways. The field is going to come down to the start-finish line for one final time. No cautions, no incidents. A big name not being locked into the WINSTEL 400 is Christian Budd. He was trying to make something happen. Your last car in is the 236 of Giles. Davis in the 96 locked his way in. For everything that could have happened there, a potential wreck, guys trying to do something. The answer for the situation was to just stay in line and not do anything stupid.
I don't even have words. That was an insane race, Cruz.
Yet again, what a race. I think that needs to be the motto of these heat races. Bud did all he could to try and get up there. I don't know how. Nicholas Doucette saved the car at least 7 times in this heat race. We had so many incidents on the track that could have been a yellow that just weren't. These guys were wheeling it. They were seeing red. We talked about it. They're not drinking milk and cookies. They're drinking alcohol and driving all over the place. This was a fantastic way to end the heat races this week, as you see Blake Reynolds just burning it down in the grass again. And I'm telling you, Blake Reynolds is going to be a contender tomorrow.
Absolutely. Another dominant performance from Blake Reynolds here. What a wild finish from all these guys as the 2 packs converged, and Triffin Davis was able to lead that pack forward and bring Chris Butts, who pushed them for 30 laps or 20 laps into that transfer position. What a wild finish.
Yeah, I felt bad that we had to turn the camera off of Reynolds, Ryan Doucette, and Anthony Emery, that top 4 that broke away. But the story was going to be the transfer position. But shout out to Blake Reynolds. I think he led all but 1 or 2 laps. Started on pole, stayed up there. As I said, he basically had nobody contending with him. It was just a walk in the park for Reynolds in the 66 machine.
as I see him do donuts here in the Daytona sign. Again, yeah, as you said, a dominant performance for him. Executed well on pit road. Nicholas Doucette, Gabriel Mauricio got sent to the back. They got shuffled back to 15th at the start. They're able to work their way back up to the top 5 for some aggressive moves and a good pit strategy. As we look at the field, top 10 here, we see some big names here. Dylan Alt, Ryan Doucette, Anthony Emery, Nicholas Doucette, Gabriel Mauricio, Neiman Flores, Josh Burnett, Jake Pullen, Dylan Parker all walk their way into the WINSTEL 400 tomorrow.
Let's just talk about where they started, those top 10. I mean, you had your final 2 starters, the guys who started 21st and 20th, locked their way in. If you started in second, Tristan Davis, you were 1 position out of being basically knocked out. I mean, qualifying really dictated how well your start was, and it really decided what lane you were in. Like, if you started on the outside lane, off that restart, you were at a disadvantage. That inside lane was already there as Reynolds has blown that motor as he's heading down pit lane.
And yeah, and what a heartbreak, for Christian Budd. Christian Budd and Dustin, they qualified up front. They were favorites to, be in this field, and they barely didn't make it in. So Daytona gives and it takes away. As we have Blake Reynolds in the waiting room for us.
Yeah, he's heading down pit lane right now with smoke coming out of the tailpipes after he's completely burned it down. Reynolds, let me tell you something. You've already won the WINSTEL 400. You're my favorite to be the first person to win it 2 times in a row. You were just short of the pole position on Sunday. You had basically a clean race. Started first, finished first, just walked away with this win. I mean, how does it feel entering the WINSTEL 400? What does the setup feel like? And just how do you feel entering tomorrow's race?
I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely different from the shootout. There was a build update, or whatever it was, a patch. It does feel a little different. Everything kind of happens slower than it previously did, I noticed. Like, a little harder to make runs. I mean, I don't know if they were racing. I was working with Jake Poole in there, and I didn't hear there was a whole lot of racing going on, especially in the latter half of the top 10, but yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the race, just because this is a good combo. I love this car and next gen at this track. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, when you were, what did you think? As soon as the race started, that outside line was pretty much dead. Did that just make you feel more comfortable with where you were? Because you just didn't have anybody contending with you on the outside at all.
Yeah, I knew if we made it to the pit stops, I think I was going to be fine. I had Dylan Alt working with me there, and like I said earlier, Jake Poulin. So I knew if we just picked a lap and we had a good amount of people coming with us, I knew our pack, if we just stayed single file, worked together, would kind of make our own race bearing a caution. So that's what ended up happening, and luckily, here we are.
Yeah, real quickly, the WINSTEL 400 is entering its 10th year. You won the second event that we ever ran for this. Like, what does that win feel like now, and what does this event feel like now? Like, when you won it back, 8 years ago, did you expect to get this big? And now that you're here again, you just won a heat race, entering the 10th year. Like, what does it feel like to be back, for a chance at another win in this event?
It feels weird because that first one, I kind of forgot for like 3 years that I had won it. I feel like this race has only gained prestige, and I kind of forgot about it because there were a couple of years where I didn't actually run it, just because, like I said, I forgot about it. So to see it like kind of gaining prestige among the community is really cool, and the fact that I'm now like a staple, on the board, so to say, that my name is there, and it's just like I mean, I can't believe I won that. After, like, I think 14 or 15 months of being on iRacing, and I was like a 3,200 I rating. To think how far I've come since then is just incredible. And the field I was racing back then was a lot more scary in terms of me being a 32, and I'm pretty sure there was some Coke drivers in that field. So I really don't remember how I won that race, but I know this time I feel a lot more confident. I know the field's really good, and I know that I currently have a good understanding of how the draft model works, a lot better than I did back then, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, one last little stat I want to throw your way. You are one of 2 drivers who have won the event and then finished in the top 3 the following year. You did that back in, you won the second event, you finished second in the third event to Evan Malason. Obviously, I got a point to myself. I was the second driver to do that. But I mean, it's a pleasure having you back, Blake, and we just can't wait to watch your race tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't know that stat, but yeah, thank you.
And that's your winner of heat race number 3, Blake Reynolds, in the 66, a force to be reckoned with and a guy that I think is going to put up a fantastic show in tomorrow's WINSTEL 400. How, do you have anybody else you want to talk about, or what do you want to say about this heat? I mean, guys were all over the place. We saw multiple should have been wrecks that weren't wrecks. We had one car spin into the grass. We had multiple blocks into the grass entering turn 1 and entering turn 3. Like, what a way to end the heat races.
I think what we can look forward to tomorrow is just more fireworks. This is going to be an insane race tomorrow. Both the last chance qualifier and the main event. It's going to be wild. It's been a wild speed weeks. It's been a wild 2 nights of action. I can't wait for tomorrow.
I can't wait either. I mean, if this is the excitement that we're going to see, especially maybe not the LCQ, because I mean, everybody in there is, you got to swing for the fences. You got to go big or go home. But the WINSTEL 400, I mean, with 43 cars on this track, with this setup, even if it's single file, and I don't think it will be, because we're going to have such big checkups. You're going to have guys using the outside lane. I think this was a great example of how big the runs can be and how strategic you got to really be in this race. Tyler Head mentioned in heat number 2 that, hey, he was just trying to transfer his way in, whereas in this race, you saw everybody in the transfer position basically just racing as hard as they could. And I just think that's how the racing is going to be tomorrow. I think it's going to be hard throughout the entire field, especially with paying out the top 20 tomorrow. I mean, there's going to be racing throughout the entire field.
Definitely. I mean, this is a star-studded field. We've seen them kind of split in the thirds here, but tomorrow night, everyone's back together again. 43 cars on the track. It's going to be massive energy, massive field of cars. It's going to be insane. I don't know what to think tomorrow. Just, you got to be here for tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of talked about it with you because you're locked in. Have you learned anything entering tomorrow's race at all? Like, do you have any idea of how this race is going to go? Do you feel more comfortable, or do you feel even more nervous now?
I feel more nervous now because every single heat looked different. I don't know which way it's going to race. We saw heat 1 was kind of tame. Heat 2, the outside was working. Heat 3, they were sent it to the apron. I don't know what exactly to do tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm giving you all the luck I can, because I think you're going to know what to do. I think once you get into the green flag, once you're 20 laps into the run, I think you're going to have a good idea. You got a lot of friends in that. Catch the WINSTEL 400 tomorrow right here on FTF at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 160 laps, $1,200 up for grabs, $400 to the winner. And I just can't wait to either be in the booth or in the race with you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in and checking out the heat races this evening. And we're going to catch you guys tomorrow.